Hello, everybody. The name is Larry Jr., and I am here with the DiceMare. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot. Do you need, like, a pair of dice, like, calm yourself down a tiny bit, or?
Yeah, it's the thing. My fidget spinner.
That's your fidget spinner. Although, so I had to mention that because, well, I need to know because the DiceMare.
Yeah.
For someone being named DiceMare, you gotta be really into the dice. How did your love for a dice come to be? Because some people may think, oh, it's because this one picture where you saw a bit of dice and it all came rushing back.
Haha. Yep.
So how did, like, the DiceMare come to be, the name itself?
So my birthday is 7/11. So my dad has kind of been calling me that since I was born. Those are like the winning numbers in craps when you play in Vegas or whatever. So yeah, just kind of my birth namesake, I guess. Yeah. No affiliation to Andrew Dice Clay.
Okay.
Respect to that Dice man for sure. But, yeah.
And why 7-Eleven didn't sponsor any Dub Day events? I will never know.
I know. I need some Slurpees for my next tour.
That needs to happen. Although I'm happy to know the DiceMare. That's the 2 winning numbers in. You said what game? The craps.
Craps. Yeah.
In craps. I'm curious. I thought for a second, like, no, I would think maybe it was poker, or it would be blackjack. Those are kind of my type of games, like, up to 21. But hey, 7-Eleven, that's your birthday. And I'm about to say happy birthday, but we are way past July 11th, so.
Hey. Yeah.
But again, how I gotta know about this. So, you were doing pretty much 2 sides of what we call the arts. When you were growing up in university, you were being, a thespian, doing your stuff on the stage, doing your stuff in the theater, and then the other side, you decided to also make music, get your turntables, get the mixers, start, doing some of those events, just in university. So one person would think that you would probably either, do one or the other. We know which side you chose, but I'm curious to know what made you, at first, want to do theater and, really pursue that. Because you're talking to someone who's really, really, really into the theater area. I got my associate's degree in theater already.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I guess I always kind of, since I was a little kid, at family dinners and parties, or on Christmas Eve or something when the whole family's together, I would get all the other kids together while the adults were just hanging out, and I'd be like, let's come up with a little play or a little sketch that we can do for the adults later, and we would do stuff like that. And it's just I was very expressive as a kid growing up, and I think my parents even knew. They knew that I was gonna get into the performing arts in some capacity, and once I started feigning interest in that in middle school, I auditioned for my first play. It was the school play they were doing that year was Grease, and that was one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid.
Wow.
Yeah, so I auditioned for I spent days and days preparing for that, and I was so into that, and I guess that's what sparked the theater thing, and it just made so much sense. It was definitely what I was supposed to be doing.
What character were you in Grease, if you could remember?
So I wanted to be Danny Zuko so bad, but I got cast as Sonny, who's the comedic relief kind of guy. He's the one who's can she get me a friend? In Summer 11. But yeah, that was an interesting time.
Oh, sorry.
That's not important.
Okay, just want to make sure. But that is amazing. For you, it was Grease. For me, it was a Little Mermaid.
Nice.
I was Sebastian the Crab.
Nice.
I did Under the Sea. I did Kiss the Girl.
Sick.
We even had a little scene with the crab and the chef and that type of thing. It was insane. I was painted red, but it was okay. I still had a blast. And of course, in middle school, high school, it grew. We also had our own rendition of Grease, which I auditioned for. But the only musical I really did was High School Musical. I wanted to be Chad, but I was just one of the thespian kids, no extras in the background. But
sure.
I owned it. I made sure I did my absolute best tortoise with Miss Darvis's class. So again, the theater kid was in me ever since I was 6 years old in Carnegie Hall. So to hear someone like you start off in that regard, I couldn't help but just relate. Now regarding the music, you getting your turntables, getting your headphones, being in the mixing, any artists that inspire you to want to start doing that?
Yeah, sure. So at the time, I guess I started mixing music in 2013, and I started writing music and writing electronic bass music in 2015. Um, yeah, I mean, starting out, I was super into Bass Nectar and stuff at the time, and yeah, there's a lot of great dubstep artists at the time that were super inspirational, and yeah, I just kind of pivoted towards doing that, and saw this kind of as an opportunity for a new medium for storytelling and for expression. So, kind of yeah, just kind of made sense at the time for me to use music as a certain way of release or a certain way of expression and storytelling and stuff like that. So,
Got it. And in kind of touching on to that, what started your love for poetry? Because see, everyone knows, of course, like, when it comes to poetry, is also a way of storytelling. There's obviously different variations of poetry out there. You got your free verse, you got your haikus, you got your limericks, you got your sonnets. And for someone like you, how did poetry kind of start for you?
for sure. Well, of course, studying it in school was always like an interest of mine. English was an interest and a strength of mine. I was a pretty good writer throughout school, I'd say. And then there was a point where I got Instagram, and this was like 2015. The algorithm started like getting developed. Before, it was just showing you people you would follow and stuff like that, and then it started showing you other accounts and or like targeting interests for you and stuff like that. And so I just remember one day scrolling through Instagram and like seeing a typewriter poem typed out. And
was it this one right here?
No, it was not that one. But yeah, it was more typewriter font-esque. It was by one of my favorite poets called Christopher Poindexter. And he's great. And yeah, exactly. Looks just like that. And yeah, I kind of just like was like, wow. It was just really good short form, you know, free verse, short form, kind of to the point. And just like kind of like a button line of a poem.
Did any of those poems from Poindexter really have like a theme, or was trying to speak of something, or was it just like him, just like, you know, speaking off the top of his mind?
Yeah. So what I really liked was that it was really apparent that he was using not only his own voice but like a modern voice. Like he was writing about. I mean, at the time I was, you know, in my mid-20s. I think him and I are around the exact same age, so it's like we were kind of in our mid to early 20s, and just kind of, you know, writing poems about, you know, that touched on, you know, even like social media and like involved, like, you know, relationship aspects, but involving to that. And so it's like, you know, like a lot of times you think poetry, you just kind of think some oldie timey stuff that's kind of hard to understand, or it's just like a lot of big words that
like
don't
Robert
really make
Frost,
sense.
Nikki Giovanni.
Sure. But this was way more poignant and in like a very casual tone, a casual and conversational kind of tone. Where it's just easily palatable, but also really profound and also really modern and new and fresh. So that was really inspiring. And so I kind of just started writing poetry about, like, you know, I got like a little like typewriter app on my phone, so it looked and felt like a typewriter, and like made me feel, made the words and the piece feel more special, I guess. But
reason why we got a typewriter out there.
Yeah, I've got like 4 now. Yeah, so yeah, just kind of started picking it up a little more seriously. Yeah, around 2014, 15, something like that.
Where you started, you know, making your own original work.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious to know, when you were starting to make your own poems, like, how did you have any like idea of how you wanted to sound, when you were wanting to say, like, you say to yourself, if I'm gonna have my own typewriter and like make my own free verse poems like like Poindexter, I gotta make sure like whatever I say, that not like too serious. Don't be like think about it too deep, but it has to be something that you can read back and think, oh yeah, I could definitely read this in a cafe, like, you know, say the title, speak the words, and everyone will, like, you know.
Sure.
That type of energy. How did you want to start, like, what was the energy of poetry you wanted to kind of deliver when you're making your own?
Yeah. So I guess at the time when I was first starting out like that, I was not, it wasn't even in my mind that I would be performing it. It was just to write, and I was maybe going to put together like a little book of short poems and stuff like that. And I hadn't really thought of it as a performance thing. But as far as like what I was writing was then, I didn't really have like the clearest, like I had a couple clear visions. Like a lot of the stuff I would write about was, again, things that I was like kind of processing in my own life at the time. At the time, like some like heartbreak stuff, like some lover boy stuff. So it was like a lot of poems about like, girls I loved or who broke my heart or something like that, or
So that's why
something
some
like
of these
that.
were called like mindful aberrations.
Yeah, mindful aberrations. That was more so about other stuff in my life, and then there was like a series called A Hankering for Her, and that was like more of the love poems. I was like, I had those two. I was trying to have like a third section come up, but I had those two sections that I was gonna like section those off in a book. If I did a book of poetry, one section was gonna be called Mindful Aberrations, and one was gonna be called A Hankering for Her.
So you're gonna make your own poetry book.
Yeah, it was
with
a
all those
series.
in
It's
there.
gonna be a collection, I guess, of my works.
That would have been awesome. And I just gotta point out quickly one particular poem that kind of stuck out to me that I feel like a lot of people can relate to. If I may read it.
Yeah.
Mindful Aberration number 37, A Call to Duty. The fluorescent lighting in this place has turned everyone green, and I now sit amongst a sea of sickly zombies. My training tells me that we should make a crawler, upgrade our weapons, and load up on perks before the next wave comes. Then I'll follow you to the highest point, and we'll camp around the corner until the next round. But this isn't my basement, and we aren't 14 anymore. By Wade Appleton.
Yeah.
I relate to this because, of course, a lot of people play a lot of Call of Duty, particularly the zombies multiplayer. How and I feel like what tells me this is like you're reminiscing on those memories, like you would have 4 players, or you would be an Xbox Live or a PlayStation, whatever, and like have these type of combat operations with people. Like we'll do this first. We'll go to this area, upgrade this, load up our ammo so that we were ready for the next round, and wait until the mini boss comes in where they're like, fetch me their souls, that type of thing. But it seems like all that's just a memory, like you said. We're not really. We all know. I don't know if you're playing Call of Duty in a basement, but it's like we're not like in the video game, but we're also not 14 anymore. So it's like, is that game like only for people who were around 13, 14 in their teenage years? When you grow up, it's like the magic is gone somewhat when you're not with your friends. Again, you don't have to answer that. I'm just speaking on my own interpretation, but if you like to add a bit of insight, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, man, it's a really long time since I thought of that one. But no, I think at the time I was writing it because I think at the first couple lines it says that was like me observing. Like I think I was sitting around in like my friend's trap house or something like that, or like my drug dealer's house, or like it was something was going on, and I was just looking around.
Let's go with trap house, not drug.
Yeah. And it looked like everyone was just kind of like fucked up, and like they looked like zombies, right? Mm-hmm. So then I was like, oh, in dealing with zombies, and then I kind of had the idea to like loop it into Call of Duty, but it's like looking around, it's like, we're not like innocent 14-year-old kids anymore, like we're getting into adulthood, and like you're making choice. It's about like making choices with like getting too fucked up or something like that, and like losing yourself to that kind of thing. And I guess it was kind of a comment on that.
Understood. So like they were like the zombies being interpreted from the game. Almost like the game was like seeping into real life.
Yeah. It's like, at least in the game I knew how to deal with the zombies. Here I didn't really know how to. Didn't
know how to, and there was no place to go to get an M14.
Sure. Yeah.
But yes, so that is amazing to hear. And so the poetry and that type of expressing your voice, expressing your art, then started going into music, making your own original music, starting off with your debut EP, Mountains. Particularly this EP, you were starting to like just make songs for people, for your friends. I gotta mention the 3-part Haley song. That to me is one of my favorite 3-part harmony. How that's like kind of start where you said, this, I'm gonna start making my own music, but I want to make sure I dedicate this to these type of people in my life at the time.
Sure. So yeah, that was the year. So I graduated university, and I moved back up to Toronto for about 6 months to like live with one of my dad's old friends, like a guy's like an uncle to me and stuff like that. And he had an extra room in his house, and I kind of just wanted to get out of Florida and kind of plan my next move. I was either going to come here. I think I was waiting on a couple friends to graduate still, so we could all come together. But anyway, I went up to Toronto, and I didn't want to stop learning, so I decided to teach myself music production because it was like the next thing I wanted to do. Now that I had my theater degree, in school I directed
Bachelor's
a
or
lot of plays.
associates?
BFA, yeah.
BFA, congratulations,
Thanks,
man.
So yeah, I wanted to get into music, and so, I was busting my ass learning how to teach myself how to produce music, watching YouTube tutorials, all the ill.Gates stuff. And ill.Gates had like a really great kind of like seminar thing on the ill methodology, on just like, he had a whole section where he just talked about like the discipline of being an artist and stuff like that, and how important things like goal setting can be, and like writing goals down on whiteboards and stuff like that, right?
Like that?
Sure, yeah, that one's McKaylee's board, but mine's in my room for sure.
Okay.
And so as a kind of discipline and kind of like a goal for myself was that as I was starting to produce music, I was like, in 3 months I want to put out a single or something like that, and in like 6 months I want to put out an EP or something like that. I can't remember the exact goal, something like that. It was like an EP in like 5 or 6 months or something. And I had been writing music that whole kind of spring into summer into fall that I was in Toronto there. And some ideas were kind of cool. Nothing really seemed really cohesive. I was, again, kind of just tinkering and messing around and finding out, and kind of just getting happy accidents, and leaning into songs and just to finish them and stuff. Mm-hmm. But then I had a big emotional moment a few months into that process. So Haley is my cousin, who was like my closest best friend growing up. And so she also lives in Toronto, but like one day I got calls from the family, and like they had found out that like Haley had went to the hospital, and they found like a big tumor on her leg. And so like at the time, like I didn't really understand what it was, and it kind of just scared me. I didn't know if it was like leading to something way more serious, or if it was just like some sort of benign thing that
no one really told you about like the power, the sad power that is cancer.
Sure, for sure. And so that day that I found out about it, I was really sad. And then, but at the time I was still also really like kind of obsessed with Ableton and learning it, and so I just like and I was alone for the most part in Toronto there. I was like on the other side of town, living in my kind of dad's friend's house, and so I didn't have like a lot of peers my age really. So I was like locked into my room a lot. So I just decided to start working it out through music, and I wrote what is now part of Haley's song. I wrote like 4 minutes worth of music the first day, and then I woke up the next morning and just locked right back in for like another like 12, 13, 14 hours. And it became like a 9-minute project, 9.5-minute project. And it was great to me, but it was the things like the big first drop was like kind of down-tempo-y, and then the middle part was kind of like glitch-hoppy and optimistic-y, and then the last part was kind of more like tear-outy, kind of like dubstep-y and just kind of like harder, grittier, but also like kind of crescendoing to this like, so then I kind of used that song as like, I was like, oh, this is the EP that I'm working towards, and I'll spend the next couple months finishing this up or kind of honing this in. And that's definitely where the idea for Mountains came through, was kind of the idea of like that mountain of like getting over cancer, something like that, or something like that, where it's like kind of sad, or like dissociating at first, and then there's just like the will and the push to like push up, and then there's like the final push to like really get over the other side, where it's just like a little tougher, but then there's that like that peak, and that's that other side where you see the light, and you kind of get over it, as
reason why a couple of those songs were called If I Go Hard and also Push. And
and If I Go Hard, I actually removed from 1 or 2 of the platforms. It might still be up there somewhere, but it's just
on the Bandcamp.
It's on the Bandcamp, still nice. That's like one of the songs I listen back to, and I'm like, I can't believe I put this out. This is like absolutely like garbage. But
please, for the love of God, don't. I hope with me mentioning that you don't take it off.
It's fine. It's still up there.
I'm gonna make sure I buy it right now. Make sure it stays.
I'll leave it there.
Here's the thing. I understand where you're coming from regarding that, but I'm always a person who loves seeing how people's musical sound begins, because.
That's why I never removed or deleted another song after that. I kind of just like after like 2 or 3 years, I like reached a point where my music was sounding different or better. So then I was like embarrassed by that song, because I didn't want people who were booking me for shows to hear it and be like, how is this garbage getting booked? So like I made the impulse decision to kind of like I just put it on private. I could still unprivate it, I guess, on some of these platforms. But yeah, if it's still there on others and stuff, it's not a big deal because I'm really appreciative of like the artist thumbprint, as it were, and kind of seeing where they came from to where they're going and that kind of arc.
Right.
So it's important to keep up all the old stuff that maybe just wasn't so good or that you've learned and developed a lot since. But,
Hey,
yeah.
but here's the thing. With that piece of work, it did start getting you booked, not only booked in sort of those smaller areas, but also creating your own one certain event, which I'll make sure I get to because it's a pretty huge like mark in the DiceMare journey. But of course, as 2015 passed, you kept on going, getting better. Like you said, you gotta start somewhere to be able to grow from there, and so we go on to images. Is that a piece of work you're proud of there?
For sure. Yeah, I wrote that with my buddy Tyler, who was one of my best friends at the time, who got me into we got into mixing at the exact same time, and then we got into producing at the same time, and we both bought the same kind of controller, and then we both got the same kind of it's called the Machine Studio. It's actually what Fred again uses a lot, and we were just making music off of the Machine, and then I took it to the next level and got Ableton and really kind of wanted to take production to the next level, and I think he kind of teetered off in interest. But before he fully teetered off in interest, he's super skilled, just as he was beginning and starting off. And so he had a handful of kind of ideas and little loops or melodies and stuff like that. And he kind of gave me a few of those project files, and I kind of turned them into more full-fledged collabs and kind of dragged them into Ableton and really massaged them and finished them or made them full out ideas. So yeah, so the whole album is credited as a collab album with him. But yeah, that was kind of me finishing up some stuff with my best friend, and kind of taking a lot of those soundscapes that sounded like they were all in kind of the same wheelhouse, and then kind of putting a story to them and or kind of a theme to them, as it were. So yeah, I love that. I love that album.
But it wasn't until I believe entering into the 2020s where we started really seeing the true power of DiceMare, particularly one particular art piece that is really is the highlight, a big huge highlight of DiceMare, Poor Connection. And then that was kind of I believe with that piece of work, it moved on to another huge piece, the debut album of DiceMare, In Tandem. So I'm just curious to know, from Poor Connection, which was seen as kind of a huge thing, a huge piece of work that you are so proud of in 2019, to move on to In Tandem, which is a culmination of what DiceMare can truly deliver. Did you really feel how could you truly define the sound of DiceMare from when you started doing Poor Connection to In Tandem, where it was you believe was fully fledged?
Yes, so that's really kind of you to say. Thank you. Yeah, so Poor Connection was something I was super proud of. It was an album I wrote after a breakup. So it's going way for me.
Reason why it's called Poor Connection.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell thematically through the story there. That is, yeah, first time I incorporated my original poetry onto music and creating new patterns, which is still to this day the song I probably get DM'd the most about, or people tell me that song helped them get through some stuff. So big up to everyone who's listened to that project. Meant a lot to me at the time, and it still does. But I guess right in between that and the full-length album In Tandem, what's actually probably my biggest project, I put out a mini mix of original music called Lovers on Lockdown in 2020
during the
pandemic, yeah. And that was written during a relationship. Most of the music was written during another next relationship, and then that ended too as I was kind of putting it together. So I wanted to. So Lovers on Lockdown was a very good showcase of that, and it was me incorporating more poetry into music, whether it was mine and or other people's, and fledging out some deeper kind of sound design, and I kind of leveled up, I felt in kind of my songwriting there. But it was still kind of, I put it together to be put together and put out as a little mini mix, but I knew a couple of the songs I wanted to spend more time on or finish and take to the next level. So then In Tandem started to get into fruition. So basically writing Lovers on Lockdown was part of writing In Tandem. So Lovers on Lockdown has 6 tracks on it. 5 of them are in the album, and the album is 12 tracks. So
So Lovers on
once I-
Lockdown was kind of like
was
the
like the-
prelude
yeah, it was
that
the
was
seeds,
building up in
for
tandem.
For sure, yeah, and 100%. And yeah, I was trying, like, I think I updated the caption on the mix, but I don't think people read the caption. But I always tell people, like, if you see the, I mean on the SoundCloud Lovers on Lockdown thing, I'm like, if you like this mixtape, go listen to my debut album in tandem, because it's like the extension of this, or the fledged out idea of this. And so yeah, and then those projects are kind of like about not about the ending of the relationship like Poor Connection was, but more about being more about the love cycle,
Like it
from
says,
its beginning to its end.
like it says in Bandcamp, from lust to love, love to loss, and then loss to lesson, which is pretty much growth. So I'm just curious to know, hearing this album, hearing how much the power, what the word love means to you. Like you've been through the ups and downs, the ins and outs of it all, of that particular feeling. I still stand by knowing that the word love is one of the most powerful feelings that we have on this earth, that could mean so much to so many people out there. We hear it in so many artists who make albums about love, who made love songs in their own way. Heck, I'll even reference this one prelude from the album Ascend from Millennium, which pretty much sampled from Good Will Hunting, where the character Robin Williams said, "You don't know nothing about real loss, because it only occurs when you love something or someone more than you love yourself." I doubt you ever dare to love somebody that much. So that's why, in my eyes, I can get that to, again, I'm sorry going on a little tangent here, the John Wick kid of ribs. Because, no, you have to be a lover and a fighter. If you don't fight for what you love, what type of love do you have? And that I believe wholeheartedly. And that's something I feel like a lot of people, whether you're in a relationship or still single like me, you have to make sure you remember that it's all about the collaboration, to make sure that you both work hard to make it work. It's not just about taking. It's not just about giving and only giving. It's about it's like a symphony. It's teamwork. It's basically teamwork at its core in my eyes. So in tandem really help highlight a lot of those feelings, and to all the people who've spoken about that, who've made songs about that, to really teach us about that. From Santa Holo, album 1, to Millennium, Ascend, and some of your other songs. I appreciate you guys so much for giving us a few lessons here and there, so that way whenever we find the one, we can be able to actually take those lessons and implement them into our lives to really make whatever partnership we have truly prosper in a good light.
Oh, so beautifully said, man.
So I appreciate that so much. Yeah. Now we gotta get to the heavy hitters in the DiceMare journey. I have been waiting to talk about this for a while. We are nearing, I believe, the 11th year. The DiceMare Before Christmas. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I gotta ask these two questions right here, right now. What made you lure to the Nightmare Before Christmas, and what makes Halloween your favorite holiday?
Wow, yeah, so Halloween's always been my favorite holiday growing up as a kid. Just like the theatrics of it, the costuming, the spookiness, I love the time of year, fall is great, all that. And Nightmare Before Christmas was one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid. That I would watch all the time, from Halloween to Christmas. Mm-hmm. And so I guess it started, so last year we just did the big 10th annual DiceMare Before Christmas. Mm-hmm. And so for 10 years I've been, throwing Halloween parties where I would dress up like Jack, and maybe in year 2 or 3, it got way more refined in that I kind of wanted to build it out and get sample way more of the movie's music into it. And so it started out the first couple of years as just a house party. When I was in theater school at university, we had a house that we all lived in,
mm-hmm.
four bedroom house,
like a frat house,
kind of like a frat house type vibe. And so we'd have after parties, cast parties there or whatever. And so we would have a big Halloween party there. And so I was just the only one who DJ'd back then, and I was like, hey, I'm just gonna stand in the corner and DJ. And I was dressed up like Jack that first year, and then the next year we were let's theme it that, and so we themed it that. Again, just kind of for our theater crew friends. And then I moved up here to New York, and I kept doing it. I did it the first year. It was still just an apartment party in my house, but it was lit, and we used the entire apartment building, and so many other units opened up their rooms to kind of and each one was kind of decorated. So once I started moving into venues, though, I took it like way more seriously, and yeah, so I kind of want it to be like a fully immersive kind of thing, and like kind of feel like you're in the movie. So generally spend weeks, if not a month or two, building set pieces and collecting shit to decorate. And like last year, this house was kind of chaotic because I was kind of really scaling up for the 10-year. And so it's like the room I'm playing in is usually Halloween Town. Bar areas like Christmas Town.
Mm-hmm.
All of the bathrooms are different holiday worlds, like Valentine's Day, Easter, whatever. And then the backyard smoking section is Oogie Boogie's lair. And
Right.
yeah, it's been one of the pleasures and joys of my life, and some of my favorite artistry to be able to put on those events over the last few years. Started doing them here at Dub Days and stuff like that, and then they kind of took a life of their own, and it's just been just getting better and better year after year after year. And we did one in the 9th annual in Richmond, Virginia, with my friends at Rhythm City, because they just believed in the vision so much, and we executed it down there really, really well as well. And I have so much love for them and their crew for doing that and for everything they do.
That
Come check out Autumn Revival.
That is amazing. I'm just curious to know, since it's been 10 years, ever since I believe 2013, where like the first or the official like DiceMare Before Christmas kind of began. I'm just curious to know, are you gonna like still follow the same like formula or format like how it was in the 10th anniversary, or are you always gonna try and find certain ways to elevate it? Because since you're really into Halloween, there are so many other creations and so many other works of media in regarding to Halloween that maybe can be like the star as well. Like you can still keep Night Before Christmas because that's like the origin. That's where it all truly began. Thank you so much, Tim Burton, for that incredible movie. But why not mix up with a little bit of Beetlejuice, a little bit of Monster House, really go into the whole Halloween Town thing? There are so many ideas that can kind of like really branch out because it's Halloween, man. This is Halloween, so let's truly embrace it. So. Yeah. I'm just saying, for the 11th annual That's the Word Christmas, which is pretty much coming very soon. We're entering from August to September. Fall is coming. Halloween is coming. What could be expected?
Yeah, sure. So last year I kind of announced that it would be the last year that I do Jack and that movie, and that starting with year 11, I will drop the Before Christmas, and it'll just be called the 11th Annual DiceMare, and I will be doing other movies every year moving forward. Started feeling like Jack the last couple of years. It would be this time of the year, and I'd be like kind of just going through the old drawing board again, and pulling out a lot of the same tricks, or just refining them and stuff like that. And that's been great. And now I feel like Halloween is great, but like I kind of wanted to go find my Christmas town, as it were, and do something different and something new, and challenge myself. So yeah, starting this year, I'll be doing a different movie. Hopefully, I am currently in a bit of financial turmoil, and I would need to get some investors lined up to help me kind of really make it a possibility, and line up a venue and get everything I need in order. But fingers crossed that we are able to do it this year, because I don't want to see it end at 10. But yeah, I have big ideas for this year. I've been planning this year since last year. I will be doing another movie that I will announce later if and when it happens. So
that I can hardly wait. And Spirit Halloween, would you mind giving a helping hand? I don't know. I'm calling all the Halloween people out there. This is like a call to Halloween Town. All the people who love Halloween, please do not let this die at 10. Or at the very least,
even if I have to do it as a renegade, I'll fucking do a party as a renegade in the streets, and we'll figure it out. I'll talk to my friends at Renegade NYC, and maybe it won't be as a built out idea, but maybe it will be. Maybe I'll fucking be able to make some set pieces that we can just throw into a parking lot somewhere, and throw a box truck somewhere, and maybe we'll do it like that. But yeah, we shall see. Fingers crossed that DiceMare happens again. Yeah.
I can hardly wait, because I have yet to really experience that myself. I've only been like pretty much on the outside looking in. Hello, I've seen DiceMare just perform my introduction to DiceMare was in 2021 Electric Zoo, so I wasn't aware of all this at the time, so I would really love to experience that. However, speaking on DiceMare Before Christmas, there have been other events you've been doing with your team of Dub Day to like kind of like really bring something new and interesting to the EDM community, to the industry. One of those events being the Valentine's Day event. I'm just curious to know, how did that kind of come to be, and what kind of sparked that?
Sure. So like I feel like there's like my music is kind of all over the place. So I have heavy dance music, and then I also have this kind of like deep, slow, poetic, down tempo lover boy shit. And you know, I like to blend all of it together in sets most of the time, but sometimes you want to just lean into one side or the other. Like tonight with SubDocta, I'm going to be playing a lot of heavy music, and it's going to be a fucking dance party, and it's going to be sick. But around Valentine's Day, I kind of wanted to showcase, so much of my sound, like my whole album in Tandem, is about love and the love story and the love journey. So it seems like the best time of year, obviously, to celebrate love and that kind of stuff. So kind of wanted to wrap my head around doing, kind of a more elevated kind of built out party theme, as opposed to just your regular old show or rave. So the date night idea, I was thinking about that, and making an environment where it could be a great date night for couples or a great date night for singles who are looking, or whatever, or not. Just a place to come celebrate love and whatever, take yourself out on a date. And so that concept was like a dinner and a show. It was gonna be like a 3-course dinner with poets performing poetry in between each course, and then heading over to the warehouse for the party after. Didn't quite come together as hoped this year. Just a little under attended and stuff like that. It was an idea that looked really good on paper, but didn't come out as great this year. But I'm not abandoning it. Kind of refining it and kind of going to make it more of like a speakeasy instead of a dinner and a show. And maybe if one day we get there, we get there. But right now it's, times is tough, and especially in this crowd group, times is tough. So it was a great. I mean, we still did it, and it executed well, and it was fun. It was super fun, and it was special. Just wish there were more bodies there, but that's how it goes sometimes. And I've been throwing shows for so many years, and I'm grateful to have thrown shows that have so many bodies in them. But you can't win them all. So
understood. So I guess it's back to like you could probably go rewind time back to the Roaring '20s if we're mentioning speakeasies. That would be insane. Like why not give give that speakeasy the Great Gatsby feel? Again, it was during the '20s and '30s where people were having parties, hiding the booze, that type of thing. Even though someone like me does not drink at all. But either way, that would be such an incredible thing to witness, and that could be another idea you can put on the board. Again, just seeing how someone like you is decided that even though all these songs I'm making, all the music I'm making, it's not really having much of a home. There have been no after no after no. All these doors that were closed. I'm just referencing back to the little interview we did at Yonderville in 2021. Where you had all this stuff that you want to show to labels, show to artists, to venues, and no response. You were left on red. But I said, what? Why not just make something of my own and really give it birth and be your own boss? And so you did, and that is something that just like me with the whole interviewing thing, I can relate to and I wholeheartedly am inspired by, because someone like you to birth something like DiceMare Before Christmas, like that Valentine's Day event. No matter the result of it all, there'll be a lot of people there, or maybe not. It's still your name, still your work. You made it happen, and that is something to be proud of. You are basically out there trying to create something, giving something to the community that so many people out there are seeing and appreciating and are noticing that yes, people are saying that DiceMan and McKaylee and all these people out there. They are for the culture. They are giving something back to NYC that we have not experienced before. Like you said, you're filling up the void, filling up the hole that is missing in certain areas, and you are that plug that's filling it up and giving us what we deserve. All I can say is that next stop is definitely the festival area, because after what happened at Electric Zoo, trust me, I have made a call to so many smaller venues and labels and collectives out there that the hole that I believe needs to be filled, because we need this. After what happened at Electric Zoo, something tells me they ain't gonna be coming back. I highly doubt it. If they do, then okay, great, but it's not gonna be as strong because how much of a cluster F it was. But why not give the people out there, the people who are grinding, the people who really have that star power, that rising star power, reason why people like Dub Day exist. We're giving people the spotlight and letting people know these are the people you gotta see. These are the people who you have to know this. And I can tag this back to Dub Day NYC. Is that the purpose of why it was created in 2017?
Yeah, that is exactly why. Yeah. Yeah, we're trying to fill a gap in this New York scene. At the time, the basement Webster Hall shows were closing down. They brought in a lot of touring acts, but I don't think they put on a lot of locals in a really strong way. I think it was really, really tough to try and break out in New York City as a local dubstep or experimental bass music producer. Then the shows were at bigger venues that were talent bought by agent, internally through bigger agencies, and they would just use the exact same openers every week, who was just usually like the promoter themselves or something like that, and people like me and everyone else who ended up becoming a Dub Day resident, like Colin and Second Nature and Crook and McKaylee and all them and all this stuff. It's like we would send mixes and demos and whatever and songs to some of these venues and stuff, and just get left on red and all that stuff, and no one was kind of throwing shows like that. And so yeah, Dub Day was supposed to be was a weekly party. We brought in smaller touring acts, kind of gave a lot of people their first New York show, but also put on for the local scene. It was an opportunity for at least 3-4 local DJs a week to come showcase what they've been working on, and network with other people and like that, and put themselves on a stage in the city for once, so that some of these bigger venues could kind of turn their heads and be like, oh, maybe you're worth booking next time we bring your favorite big artist through, or blah 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 blah. Which it did end up working out like that. So many of us from that day are now absolutely crushing it in this local scene and regional scene and across the country. So shout out Mantra Sounds, who just played in Red Rocks yesterday night. Last night. The first all female lineup with Rez. That's really, seeing some of the gang just grow up, like moving up and on, is just warms my heart.
Yep, and again, some of the other people that I've noticed and saw, like ever since 2017 regarding Dub Day. Heck, I think one of the first few shows was with Night Punk, and at the time in 2017 he was like, no, getting to start and just like Roundtable with Golden Claws. I remember that particular song, but now look at him, absolutely headlining and being part of Brownies and Lemonade. He had a recent song which is I'm the Blank with a pretty amazing punk rock vocalist, so it was absolutely freaking insane. I'm just more than happy to not only see him grow, but also give my energy to the project by being his producer tag, like official producer tag. I still can't believe that. I can't believe I'm saying that right now. That's incredible. But again, I see all the other artists as well. We mentioned McKaylee, who's absolutely killing it. I'm seeing him shine. Dalek One, I'm seeing shine. Tie-Dye Kai, him as well. G-Space, all these people that we see who are absolutely killing it right now. And of course, someone like you, we gotta give the props to you. Go on different festivals out there, the smaller ones, the big ones, and leaving your mark on those festivals. I mentioned Yabble Fest. What was it again?
Yonderville,
yeah. Yonderville, and so many others out there. And I also gotta mention the full circle moments with you being on tour with ill.Gates, who you saw as your mentor, and now being on tour with him. That has to feel kind of incredible.
That was really incredible. Yeah, that was the first time a bigger artist ever invited me onto like a leg of a tour with them. We did a 3-night run together, and we even like hit the studio in 2 cities, and like was working on a collab for a bit. We should probably resurrect that or something, but
put that on the board. Write that down. Write that down.
Sure. That was so amazing getting to spend so much time with him. Really, really just nice, sweet guy. Another Canadian brother. Yeah, so that was a good time.
That is amazing. And of course, we have to give love to, of course, Elements, the big one out there in Philadelphia,
Bless
but also
Elements.
Big Dub, which you have performed at 4 times, right?
5.
5 times. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was it 4? Wait, no, 5. That's insane. And of course, and those are 2 huge decibels there. So you're definitely getting your name out there. People are knowing the power that is DiceMare. So. Heck, even Soundhaven, I gotta mention that. Evolutions, have to mention that as well. FanFest, gotta mention that too. FarmFest, have to mention that as well. My goodness, I forgot. Moonwalk. How did I forget Moonwalk?
Yeah, like
so,
4 moonwalks now.
4 moonwalks, about to be 5.
Yeah.
About to be 5. So, hello. That's how amazing DiceMare is, and the resume is absolutely staggering. So I'm just very curious to know, regarding the power of DiceMare, what could be next for DiceMare, for Dub Day, for, I would say, your sister label. I believe it was, what was it called again? You were trying to turn into a record label?
More Signal.
More Signal?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know, so much, there's just so much that wants to be done. It's just a matter of resources, I guess. Time, money, that kind of stuff. But, yeah, if and when this project starts to, like, elevate a little bit more and I have some more freedom to kind of bring my ideas to life, I want to keep pushing, kind of built out thematic parties like what we do with DiceMare, but or the date night, Halloween or Valentine's Day, and speakeasy kind of concepts. Just kind of pushing those further, getting them more refined, making them more illustrious, making them just more full, more professionally done, resources and stuff like that. Everything's been super DIY, and it's good, but it's exhausting. And it's always on a budget, and blah, 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 blah. So I just want to keep bringing out a better and better product and refining it. I think I've found my stride in the last few years about kind of like what I'm wanting to do with the music side of the project, as far as like these kind of performative pieces and like themed sets and themed parties and stuff like that. So yeah, I just kind of want to keep pushing the poetry, pushing the love, getting some dance music out there as well, and yeah, just yeah, and I also kind of want to get back to the stage and screen, kind of more too as well. So we'll see how it goes, and if I can start balancing back towards doing more of that.
That will be incredible to see. And adding on to that bit right there, have you ever thought of, like, I don't know, like, either since you were in the theater, you did write certain plays, direct certain plays at the time, and that I feel like that energy, that creativity, that creative part of yours has never really left you. Why not use some of the music, make some of the music, maybe produce your old soundtrack for like a theater piece, implement some of the energy and feelings that you had in your poetry, in your stuff, and turn it into like a theater production where you can be the director, you can have the soundtrack, you write the poetry, so you pretty much have the words. Who knows, heck, maybe even bring some of those poetries you've done before and bring them to life on stage, and have people act it out with the music background produced by you, made by you or your Dub Day friends, to help bring it to life. Because I've always been seeing people do short stories or have collections of this or that and bring it together, and that does become very successful. Who knows, that type of work can also be on the off-Broadway stage and move on to something even bigger. That thespian of yours, I believe, will never leave you. So it's like, why not? I'm saying this way. Use that BFA to good use. Show people what you've got in that mind of yours.
Sounds like you already know the next step.
So yeah, I'm just throwing ideas out there. Again, we have it recorded. Well, I'll let you know again. Right, put it on the vision board. Put it on the vision board. Put it on your vision board.
Definitely.
It can definitely work. And I gotta ask as well. If you were not doing DiceMare, would you have what would you be doing? Would you still be pursuing theater or doing the auditions? Although we know how kind of crazy and how degrading that kind of can be when you're doing auditions. But where would Wade be if it wasn't if he didn't go on the DiceMare path?
Man, yeah, who knows? I felt like this was the path I was supposed to take, and I think sometimes I think about I went to school and I got, I'm trained in the theater arts, and that's still my strong suit. But then I feel like these last 7 years of running Dub Day and taking 10 years of DiceMare and whatever, feels like a master class in music production and stuff like that. So now I feel like I'm finally in a place where I can kind of do the projects like you were just talking about. My senior year of school, I did a project that was me trying to bring bass music culture to the theater space and psychedelic culture to the theater space, and it was called Delirium of Total Abandon, an evening
Oh,
theater for the
yes.
rapidly frustrated mind, a compilation piece by Wade Appleton. And
Delirium.
doing that. So I do want to do more plays like that are kind of scored with bass music and kind of sound design, crazy sound design stuff going on, as well as other multimedia stuff going on, as well as. So gonna kind of try and make the amalgamation of both here soon, and try and bring what I've learned from the bass music space back to the theater space and see if we can't push some boundaries over there.
That would be amazing, and I can easily tell you there is definitely one theater that you can maybe speak to who is always going to look for brand new talent, brand new productions that is basically the birth for these type of productions that are weird, that are different, but there's something that the Broadway space needs. Look up the theater, The Tank.
Theater, the Tank.
The Tank Theater. They have been grinding and doing these types of productions that are different or have a twist to them for I believe for decades, and they're currently in the middle of their own their own event, their own festivals. They do all the time. They do their Pride Fest thing, all of June, that type of thing. So they have certain themes. But something tells me that you talk to the Tank Theater, you just look up their number. I'll even give you their email for one of them, Molly, one of the leaders. They would love to see and give it the birth of your production on the stage. And I don't think they would care much about the whole budget or anything. It's about really creativity and giving you the spotlight. So again, put on your vision board, and I would love to see that come to life. And if you need an extra or narrator or anything like that, let me know. I'd be more than happy to at least give my energy, give my voice to the production or to the vision if need be. So you have me on speed dial. Well, not really on speed dial. We didn't exchange numbers yet, but we will soon. Just keep me in the know, because I would love to see it come to life. And again, DiceMare, I know it's been a very long time. It has been harrowing, it has been arduous, but there has been so many accomplishments in every single bit of the year. So over 10 years of DiceMare, I'm not sure, I was going to say almost 10 years or 15 years. I can wait to see, maybe hopefully I can see a DiceMare anniversary of all the works building up to it. But dude, DiceMare, thank you. Thank you so much for giving something to NYC that was missing, and I can only hope, I can only pray that it will keep going. I'll make sure I do my part, spread the word, let people know that this is a man who wants to give something back to the community, wants to give something back to the NYC area that we believe is missing. And this, and with all that you've done so far, all the grinding that you've done to let people know that this is who I am, this is DiceMare, something tells me the journey is definitely getting there, but we need more people to truly believe and see the power that is DiceMare. And that only comes with not only me doing something like this, but also spreading the word, letting people know. Don't forget the name Wade Appleton. He is the DiceMare, and something tells me luck is most definitely on his side. There will be some bad rolls here and there, but we want that 7-11 jackpot. That's what we're aiming for. And something tells me with every roll you do, you will be on the road to getting that jackpot and letting people know, who is that man right there? That is DiceMare right there. Leader of Dub Day, founder of Dub Day, brought DiceMare Before Christmas on its legs, and I can hardly wait to see what's next, especially for tonight with both little event from 3 to 8, and of course SubDocta. I'll make sure I let SubDocta know the name that is DiceMare. Wait, he already knows who you are, so hopefully we can get some backing from him. But the sky's the limit for someone incredible as you, Wade. Thank you so much again for everything.
I really appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
And with that, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Again, remember the name Wade Appleton. Remember the name DiceMare. Remember Dub Day. Remember the Dub Bus. Dub Bus is coming back, right?
Yep.
Thank God. Remember Dub Bus, because all of what's being created, all what's in the mind of DiceMare for the future of Dub Day, for his career, for everyone else's career that's backing him up in his label, in his own crew, they're coming up. They're going places. Like, they're hardly see what's coming up next. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. This is Lemon Jr. Wade signing out. I love you guys so much. Peace.
Peace.